This is a 100 subscriber special video. I want to talk about why I started this channel, and I also will answer a few questions as well. Before I answer any questions, I just want to say thank you, and I'm going to stop doing shorts, at least as much as I've been doing them. The amount of YouTube shorts that I was filming is just unsustainable. I have burned myself out doing them, and I nearly deleted the channel. Actually, I nearly deleted my Instagram account, the channel. I just took too much on, and I was trying to do something unsustainable. I need to reel it back in with the short videos. It's too many. I was trying to do one a day, and it's just incredibly stressful. So I'm going to answer some questions now, and after that I will do a quick why I started the channel video, because it's important that people know why this channel exists. It doesn't really come from a happy start. So anyways, the questions. I've received a handful of questions, and the first question is, would I take an autism cure if there was one? And it's a very interesting question. I would take a cure that would cure the distressing elements of my autism. But I'd be very hesitant to take an autism cure, because how much of my personality would just not exist anymore? Who knows? I've mentioned this before, but because I'm autistic, my personality is heavily informed by the autism. So I essentially would be taking a cure that would change my personality. So no, I wouldn't take an autism cure, but I would take a autism symptom cure, specifically for my sensory issues, things like that. But I wouldn't want to risk wiping out my personality taking a cure. So I guess there's a nuance with that question. It's a very interesting question. As we know, there is no cure for autism. This doesn't mean to say that you can't ease the symptoms of autism. Even things like dietary intervention can help with relieving some of the severe autism symptoms. I'll make a separate video on this, but ever since changing my diet, cutting out all ultra-processed food, there is definitely a pretty significant benefit to that. I think cutting out a lot of ultra-processed food has indirectly affected the autism, to be honest. I think my general anxiety levels are lower because I'm not consuming certain ultra-processed ingredients. Anyways, that's all for another video. Next question. What is a good way to make friends as an autistic person? I don't know. This is something I really struggle with. There are groups for autistic people that I have just started attending. I'm really bad with socializing, making friends. My only suggestion would be, don't force it. Participate in activities and groups where you're more likely to find like-minded people. But every friend I've made has always been completely accidental. Dating neurotypicals or neurodiverse people. So when it comes to being autistic and dating, or making friends actually, this is my preference, and this is just my opinion. I would never date someone who is neurotypical, personally. I don't want to get into too much detail, but I've had some intimacy experiences in the past that I was taken advantage of very heavily. So I'm very careful with who I let close. I prefer to date, have friends with people who are also at least suspecting neurodiverse. This doesn't mean that I don't have any neurotypical friends. I do. But my preference is I try to find people who will understand me. When it comes to dating, I think for me personally, I wouldn't want to date someone who is neurotypical. And finally, is spirituality essential with living with autism? I think spirituality is extremely important, and I think it comes along with the more you learn about yourself and the more you evolve as a person, you kind of let spirituality into your life. usually unintentionally. I'll make a separate video on this because my spiritual journey, it's absolutely insane, like the spiritual like discovery. It's magic, it's psychedelic, and it deserves a video in itself. So I will make a video on the spirituality. But I think spirituality is almost essential for living with autism. Definitely. That's just my opinion. I think it's very important. I'm going to move on to the Instagram questions. Do you feel nervous being in front of the camera? How do you appear so relaxed? There's something in my eye. So, do I feel nervous being in front of the camera? Yes, I feel nervous being in front of the camera. It's scary. I'm still not comfortable yet. How do you appear so relaxed? That's very kind of you to think that I appear relaxed. That's really that's a really nice compliment. I'm willing to share myself and my personality, and I've decided to not put on like a persona, you know? It would have been really fraudulent of me to just start a YouTube channel where I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Like, you can't really keep that up. So I'm quite glad that I'm being myself. Yeah, no, I do. I feel very nervous in front of the camera. It doesn't matter where I am, I always feel nervous. So I have 2 questions from Instagram. Do you have pets? And do animals help you as an autistic person? So I don't have any pets at the moment because I live in 1 bedroom and I rent, and I'm not really allowed pets. But I do have basically a cat. I feed and look after a cat that may or may not be homeless. I'm not sure. But by winter, if this cat is still outside, I'll probably get it to the vet and maybe take it in. So thank you so much for the questions. Sorry if my answers were underwhelming. But yeah, anyways, why did I start this channel? I started this channel because I was absolutely desperate and scared, frightened and alone after my diagnosis. I had a complete personality crisis and my whole world was torn apart. I don't want anybody else to feel this, and I really want to help people, especially people who are recently diagnosed and are just absolutely terrified and uncertain of who they are and are struggling to live in a neurotypical world. I want to be a voice. I want to help people. I know how important it is now to share our stories and to stick together, to be vulnerable and open about the autistic experience. I've had some very, very close calls, and it's so important that we all feel heard. I think there's also a big self-therapy aspect to this channel. I will admit that it's helping me greatly as well. But yeah, I'm just going to end this video saying thank you so much, and expect more longer videos and less daily shorts. I don't want to burn myself out, so I'm going to take a bit of a step back on the YouTube shorts. But again, thank you so much for watching. I'm very, very grateful to be here still. I think by all odds, I probably shouldn't still be here. I really want to talk about all my close calls, but I don't think I'm allowed on YouTube. There are a few topics that I just don't think you can really talk about anymore. I'll figure out a way to post those maybe on a different platform, maybe the Patreon I set up. But yeah, peace and love. Goodbye.